Welcome to our 4th anniversary celebration where you pick the topics. That's right, everybody. Welcome to episode 141 of the Kiss Army Things podcast. My name is Xander.
My name is Daphne.
And technically, our 4th anniversary was last episode, but we were too busy celebrating the 45th anniversary of Kiss Unmasked, which I will admit is slightly more important.
Yes.
I'll give it that.
Our anniversary can wait a few days.
Exactly. So today is the day we're going to be celebrating our 4th anniversary, but I thought, what would be a cool, unique way to do that? And I thought, well, let's have the viewers pick the topics for this episode. I asked everybody in the last episode to leave some comments about some topics you think that we should discuss, and you guys did not disappoint. I'm pretty sure we're going to be looking at about 6 topics or so,
wow.
5 or 6 different topics, because you guys, you delivered on some really cool topics. So thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you for 4 years of the podcast. When Jeb and I started, it was really just a way for us to share our love of Kiss with everybody, but also hear some younger voices and put some younger voices out there.
Yep.
Having you, and we even had Ryan on the show, and I think it's been really great having some of the younger Kiss Army, join in the fun.
Yeah.
And then just being able to finish out the end of the road tour, I think was also really important. And you and I were kind of freaking out about the fact that when we were ending the end of the road tour, we were only on episode 74, 75.
Yeah. And now we're like 140?
141.
That's crazy.
Almost double.
So we've done
wild.
As many after the end of the road as we had before. That doesn't feel right. It
does not feel right. It feels like it was just, a couple months ago, not really, but like it just feels like yesterday, as it were. We were celebrating the end of the road tour and going to shows, reviewing shows, and here we are. Almost 2 years removed after the tour, we're still here. You guys are still here. That's the most important thing, is that you guys are still here wanting to watch our episodes and continue to celebrate Kiss with us. And I gotta admit, the last episode with Unmasked was probably, we had more comments, more love.
Oh, yeah.
More memories, more appreciation for that than any other album review we've done in the past.
Wow, really?
I mean, maybe it's just me, but
there were a ton
it
of
really
comments.
Felt like there was just a ton of comments. There were folks from Australia, folks from New Zealand.
There was a bunch of those.
Folks
I
from
love
all
those.
over the world.
Yeah.
Were watching that episode and then commenting, and so that was just really, it was almost overwhelming in a good way.
Yeah. Just
going over your guys' comments and trying to figure out, well, what do we talk about? What do we share on the show? But so just again, thank you guys so much. And before we get to the spotlight, because I don't want to neglect the spotlight, but I want to read and just shout out all of our Patreon subscribers. You guys usually see their names scrolling on the screen every single episode. Today, on the 4th anniversary, I'm going to go ahead and read out everybody's names. So just to say thank you to all of our, first of all, our Sergeant tier subscribers. We have Rex Cat, Darren Smith, Matt H., Jeremy Carmona, Bjorn Johnson, Greg Sonic, Dave Long, Luby, Tika Carr, Jeff Milhoen, JT Milhoen, and Z Unit, and of course our Corporal Tom Tobin. So thank you to each and every one of you for your support. You guys might think, well, Xander, what do you do with the Patreon money once you get it? Well, I had to buy a new hard drive.
That is true.
And because the one that we usually use to store all of our data for the podcast is completely full, 4 terabyte, can hold no more.
Yeah.
So you could say that the Patreon folks kind of literally keep the show going.
They literally do. Because,
I just bought the hard drive so that
it goes right back into the show.
So that next episode we can have, a place to store the data for it. So thank you to all of our Patreon subscribers. It's been really great just chatting with you guys in the community chat. I have the newsletter that we upload every month. June is right on the horizon, but so just enough with the thank yous, but I wanted to obviously get the thank yous out of the way because you guys are the reason for the show, so we really appreciate it, and we want to get into the Kiss Spotlight first.
Yes.
I almost dove in, but I gotta remember the Kiss Spotlight.
Never forget.
So, my Kiss Spotlight this week is the Japanese release of the San Antonio soundboard.
Nice.
The only official copy that was released on CD. We did open this a few episodes ago. I finally got around to listening to it in my car, and I gotta admit, I'm pretty impressed with the sound.
Good.
It's obviously a soundboard recording. It's always going to be a soundboard recording. But what I was most thoroughly impressed with was the low end, specifically on Eric Carr's bass drum.
Yeah.
Because I'm wondering if there maybe was some additional mixing and mastering, because it sounded like they really brought that bass drum up.
I imagine there's
which I'm glad,
bit.
Because when it comes to, Kiss 80s or 80s Kiss, Eric Carr Kiss, we got songs like Detroit Rock City, where there's obviously double bass being pumped in. You got Under the Gun and lots of great songs. You want that lower end to come through. So especially Eric Carr's drum solo sounded really great on this CD. So yeah, it was great to listen to it. It is divided into 2 CDs. Luckily I have a 5-disc changer, so just popped them both in, hit the road, and let them go. So yeah, this was great to finally listen to. It is, I will admit, because it is packaged so well.
Yeah.
It has like sleeves inside of sleeves inside of the digipack.
Yeah.
While you're driving and on the road, it can be kind of tricky. But obviously for collector grade, collector quality products and releases,
it'll last a lot longer.
This was an amazing release.
Definitely.
So I wanted to quickly spotlight Kiss, Asylum, San Antonio off the soundboard. So if you want to, you can put that right there on the front. And then do you have a Kiss spotlight for us?
I'm honestly just spotlighting Unmasked again. I know we talked about it last week, and I just am still vibing with it.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, it was just so much fun to listen to, prior to last week's episode, and to talk about, and I feel like after breaking it down, I wanted to listen to it even more. So I'm still living that Unmasked life.
Well, I gotta admit, it was on my, and still is on my turntable.
Yeah.
While I was in here kind of cleaning up. I've let this place, I usually come in here and clean it all up, and then over the next week or two, we'll just let it. Just because we film in here, and we pull things off the shelf, and I'm always adding things to the collection, so it does get pretty messy in here. But yeah, I came in here, cleaned up, and had Unmasked as my soundtrack because it's one of the only Kiss albums that can get me to dance.
Yes.
I don't really like to dance. I'm not a good dancer, but this album naturally moves me. It's a feel-good album. It is a feel-good album, springtime, summertime album. So
100%.
I don't blame you for being in the mood and being in the Unmasked mood. And it's actually kind of fitting because we're going to continue talking about the Unmasked tour, the Unmasked era for our first topic here. We're going to segue now into your guys' topic. So thank you again for all the great comments. This first question comes from Jeffrey Koger. Jeffrey Koger, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but Jeffrey left us a comment and said, Paul and Gene have stated many times over the years that they tape all of their shows. Why has there been no audio video from Eric's debut at the Palladium in 1980? It's inconceivable to me that they wouldn't film or record such a huge show. Thoughts? So, yes, there's been lots of talk about the Palladium show. And obviously, it's a very special show.
Yeah.
Because, not just because it was the only show they played for the Unmasked tour in the United States, right. But yes, it is legendary because it was the first show that Eric Carr made his debut. And Gene and Paul have been very adamant over the years that they do record most, if not all, of their recordings. Now, this one you would think that they would definitely record. Obviously, they record shows for review. They would record shows to look back on them and all that. But this one, being the first show with the new drummer, you're gonna want that.
Absolutely,
you're gonna want that not just to look at how the band sounds and how Eric sounds, but audience reaction, crowd reaction to songs and set lists and things like that. But as far as we know, we've heard nothing. Gene and Paul releasing this show, but we can speculate at least.
Yeah, I am confident that it exists.
Like it probably exists.
There's no way they didn't record it. Now, how good quality it is, who knows?
I would think it would be just as good as all the soundboards that we have.
Yeah, exactly.
It would probably be a soundboard recording.
Yeah, so I'm sure that exists, and I don't know if they just don't intend on ever releasing it, or if they're just waiting for the right moment, like saving that as another big thing down the line to come out. I don't know.
Yeah, to me, okay, well, it could have been recorded, and it could have been lost.
True.
Highly doubt that, assuming that we have all these other soundboards. We got Des Moines 77 and all this other. So if it's all stored together, it shouldn't have been lost. But being lost is
especially
always
an important one like that.
It's always a possibility. It could have been damaged or destroyed.
Yeah.
We don't know what it's been through. It was 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah, and that's the thing with physical media like that is it's so much easier for external
temperature,
forces,
moisture, dropping it, breaking it.
Exactly. There's so many things that can happen to it.
Yeah, it could have been stolen.
Yeah.
There have been times where things have been stolen from the Kiss warehouse, and so it could have been stolen. Now, I would hope that eventually this is released as an Off the Soundboard, because to me that's what the Off the Soundboard series is for.
Yes.
We had the Mark St. John show. Right. That was very historical. The only other historical show I think that would reach that level is the Palladium, or something like that, where it's more than just, oh, here's a show like Des Moines. Okay, great, 77 vintage Kiss, original 4, sure, but it's just a random show,
right? There's nothing historically significant about that specific
Virginia
date.
Beach, just kind of a random show, even though we already had that pro shot.
Right.
That kind of seemed like a throwaway. Tokyo was great. You have Eric Singer and Ace, a very unique lineup. So, that's really cool. And that's what we want to see for the soundboard. So even though we don't have an official release from this, that's what they should do with this show. Yeah. Maybe it'll come out after Gene and Paul are gone, because once everybody's gone, those things just become even more valuable, even more historical, as it were. But yeah, hopefully it does exist in some capacity. Yeah. So again, that's speculation. Let's get to the facts. Let's talk about what we know about the Palladium show. And I'm interested if anybody remembers this, because just a couple years ago in 2022, I think it was, when the Sam Loomis dumps were going on, and all these videos were getting leaked out of some crazy, historical footage. One of the ones that came out was about a 56-second clip, a news clip of the Palladium show.
Oh, okay.
Now, it's, again, less than a minute, which includes both, the footage that we have and the anchors talking. There's people, there's newscasters talking, and then it shows, but it does show pro shot footage of Kiss at the Palladium where Eric Carr was debuted, pro shot audio, and that was one of the more, significant releases that came out. Obviously, we don't have it and we can't show it, but I thought that I would at least bring it up because that's just a sliver of something that is out there. Yeah. That does exist. Yeah. And if that exists, who knows what else. So I went on a little bit of, not a deep dive, but a quick dive to see how much information I could find about the Palladium show. And I found, allegedly, some 8mm film footage that was shot from the crowd. That was, again,
like
from,
fan
allegedly
shot? That's cool.
Yes, shot from the crowd from the Palladium show. And I'll put this link in the description so you guys can watch it. It's a video I found on Facebook, a very popular Kiss page, Kiss group. I don't think you necessarily need an account to watch it. I'm pretty sure you can just open that link in a browser and at least watch the video. You can't like or comment or share or whatever. But hopefully you can at least watch this video because it was really cool. If this really is footage from the Palladium show, again, you're watching actual footage that was filmed almost like a fan would their cell phone in 2023, 2024, 2025. But this was obviously back in 1980. And so it definitely is 8mm film footage. It definitely is Kiss live on the Unmasked tour with Eric Carr. Whether or not it's from Palladium show, I don't know. That's just up for everybody to kind of either believe or not believe. But I'll at least put it in the comments because it was great to watch.
That's very cool.
The audio that came with that clip, I don't know if that's actually from the Palladium show or if it was just audio that was synced using another show. Because 8mm, that's, notoriously filmed silent, right? Yeah. There are 8mm film cameras that can film with audio, but more often than not, 8mm film is silent. Right. So it's possible that there was audio taken from another show, high quality show recording, and just matched that with this footage. Still really cool to see, still very historical. And just continuing my search, I did find what appeared to be an entire crowd audio recording of the Palladium show. Wow. So it's not going to be even as good as a soundboard recording. Right. But allegedly, we still have over an hour and a half. Wow. The entire Palladium show you can find. If you search on YouTube, I'll put that link in the description too, so you can at least hear some of the audio from the Palladium show, which is still really exciting. We can only hope that at some point we do get full pro shot footage or pro recorded audio. But we may still have enough nuggets to get an appreciation. There's photos too. I'll put some photos up of that were again allegedly taken at the Palladium show, just so everybody can get a feel. But I thought this was a really cool topic to start out with. Yeah. Since we're already celebrating the Unmasked tour and kind of asking. But let's do one better. Let's get personal fan testimony from the Palladium show. Yeah. Because while Jeffrey is asking and I'm researching, Fido Xavier commented and said, my first Kiss concert was 1980 at the Palladium in New York City. Awesome. I couldn't hear for 3 days. Oh my God. Best concert, Eric Carr on drums. And this was really cool because this is what I'm talking about, when the Kiss Army can get together and share our experiences, share our stories, and can contribute. Because I'm like, okay, I gotta know. I said, what can you tell us about the show? Any memories are appreciated. And they commented and said, unfortunately, I don't remember too much about the show, but I can tell you that I was on the balcony on the left side of the stage.
Cool.
Eric was on the drums, and we were all pumped. I loved Unmasked at the time, really loved Naked City, and What Makes the World Go Round. Now, I can't remember the set list, but Kiss had their Madison Square Garden rig in the Palladium, and it was so loud the building shook.
Yes.
This was years before earplugs were a thing, and I couldn't really properly hear for about 3 days after the show. I thought they were amazing. Setlist was great, but not enough Unmasked. That's really all I can recall. So how cool is that we obviously have a fan testimony who was there? You can imagine. I'm wondering if it would have been on the Richter scale.
I bet it would.
The place shook so much, I wonder if it was registered. But that's...
I guarantee that, I mean, somebody might not have been recording it, but I guarantee that would have registered as one. If you can feel the building shake.
Yeah.
And that's, as somebody who's been to a Taylor Swift show, that actually did register on the scale where you can feel it.
Yeah,
being in
it's
a
like
building,
an earthquake.
It's weird being in a building like that. It's so big and you can feel it move.
Yeah, so here it is, the Palladium shaking. But I thought it was really cool to have, a comment from Fido Xavier. So thank you for that comment.
That's awesome. Let's continue the Unmasked live pro shot footage kind of train.
Okay.
Because we have a really cool comment that we got from, I think it's Space Bear Sven.
Space Bear Sven, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he left us a really interesting comment and educated us on something we had never seen or heard about before.
Yes, pay attention.
Yes, which is a show, a German TV show called Schüler Express.
Yes.
Which is basically like Student Express, right?
Student Express.
Something like that.
Yeah. It felt like an after-school special kind of thing.
Yes, that's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah.
And so it was from 1980. It's something that aired on German TV.
Yeah.
And it was, it was like a fictional story about this high school girl. And obviously we're kind of getting the story from his comment and from what we could kind of glean from watching it in German with no English subtitles or anything.
Right.
So a lot of it we didn't understand but could kind of get with context clues. But his comment says it's a story about a girl who wants to see Kiss on their tour of Germany very badly, but her boyfriend is not very fond of them. Boyfriend tries to get her attention away from the band, and after the concert, he succeeds, unfortunately. The story isn't that important, but the live footage of the concerts in Germany, I think it was Munich, and the interviews make up for it. And he gave us a link, and we watched it, and it was so fascinating.
Yeah.
Because there was actually, pro shot footage of the band at, like, a record store, signing stuff, meeting fans. There was behind-the-scenes footage of the stage being built.
That was wild.
That was one of my favorite parts, even though Kiss was not in that. Because it was, like, actual footage of all these random guys backstage.
And they embedded it in the story.
It was so cool.
There was interviews with the band themselves.
Yes, yeah.
That was important because they were in full character mode.
Yes, they were literally, somebody was kind of asking them to explain their characters.
Just who they are.
Yes, who they are. And they introduced themselves, kind of explained their characters as if it were a direct representation of who they are as a person. Yeah. What was Paul like?
He said the star represents who I am. It's the want to be.
Yes, it's who I want to be.
To achieve success. To be a star. It's who I am.
Yeah. And then Eric's was kind of funny because he's a fox, so it was a little bit of a stretch, but he's like, I'm a foxy kind of guy.
That's why I want folks to see me on the outside. That's who I am on the inside. And then he goes...
Yeah.
And it goes to Gene, and Gene's like, I'm Gene Simmons, I'm a horror movie fan.
Yep.
And I love the night.
I love the night.
And that was funny. And then he goes, sticks his tongue out and goes, no, $5, please.
Yeah.
Which was kind of funny, of course, in true Gene fashion. Ace, he's like, yeah, I'm a space...
Sci-fi.
I'm a sci-fi fan, I'm a spaceman, kind of... If you see me stumbling around, it's because I'm not used to gravity on this planet.
That cracked me up.
Which was pretty good.
So perfect.
He goes, didn't you see me in Star Wars? And then it just cuts.
Yeah.
And I thought the way it was edited together and shot and the way the band delivered it was perfect. Again, this is before they revealed their makeup. This is before you knew who they actually were. They're trying to low-key explain the concept of being unmasked while still being masked. And it was just... But yeah, so that comment about the Schüler Express, because you're seeing pro shot footage.
Yes, because there was also pro shot footage of the concert itself. A lot of fan footage, which was really cool. Like, I always love crowd shots.
Yes.
And, like, they were shooting this, the main character, this girl and her boyfriend and some other characters in the crowd, but they were actually there in the crowd. So you get all of this fan footage of people in makeup. I think she had makeup on for the concert.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. I was like, I can't believe we've never heard of this, never seen it.
Nope. There's always something new, something exciting to celebrate with Kiss and appreciate. And we need your guys' help because that was truly awesome.
We never would have found that otherwise.
I was like, oh, what's this? Let's watch it. And I was like, oh, this is like seriously cool. So again, that's one more link that you guys can look forward to in the description. So
yeah, absolutely.
If you guys,
I highly recommend it.
I highly encourage everybody too as well to go through our comments because our comments, like we get a lot of great comments from people who will fill us in on things or give us, their side of the story or a memory that, they had or they made. Just anything like that. I appreciate you guys leaving your comments, and I highly encourage everybody else to kind of sift through the comments. And if there's something you don't like or don't agree with, just scroll on by. There's no need to argue or anything like that. But it's just really awesome to go through and read everybody's comments because there's some really, really great stuff.
Definitely.
And for topic number 2, this is going to come from Rex Cat, one of our Patreon subscribers, our very first Patreon subscriber. And he asks, can you have Jeb on the show? And what are you still looking forward to from Kiss this year and in the future? So Jeb and I are trying to do a Patreon-only show. So since you're a Patreon member, you'll get to watch this. So Jeb and I have our own, let's call Backstage Pass, our own Patreon show that we do. We're going to do another episode of that, hopefully sometime soon. So technically, yes, we will be having Jeb back on the show. And I like this question, what are you looking forward to in 2025 still? And because we're about halfway through the year, it's almost June.
Yep.
And I wanted to do an episode about this, but I thought there's just too much going on, too much, not enough time. So we'll do it here. Thank you, Rex. And the very first thing I'm looking forward to is hopefully the Eric Carr documentary coming next month.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because if you guys remember when Joey Casada was on one of the last times, he even said that Loretta was working on an official Eric Carr documentary for release in 2025. And then Loretta herself posted it and said that it was coming this year. So I believe June was the date, June, July. His birthday's in July, so maybe July, Eric Carr's birthday. Who knows? But that's one thing I want is the official Eric Carr documentary.
For sure.
She even says it's going to be a release on DVD. That's something that we can buy, we can have it in the collection, watch it whenever we want.
Yeah.
We're going to review it on the show.
I'm excited for that.
I'm very excited for that. Hopefully that's the thing that happens next.
Yeah.
Is the next, big release, if as it were, the Eric Carr documentary. I've been waiting for that for about a year now, so that should be really exciting. But also the End of the Road documentary.
Right. Is that still happening? I hope so.
They kept talking about it, and I haven't heard anything about it.
Not for a while.
But
they were shooting things for it.
Yes,
and I'm pretty sure
they were. And they even talked about it.
Was it Tommy that put something on his Instagram story at one point in time that he was like filming interviews or something for it? I'm like,
yep.
Things have been filmed for it, other than just during the show.
Paul posted about Aaron, being involved in it.
Yeah.
And Doc McGee talked about it on a couple shows. So it's being talked about, but that was also a while ago. I just think they need to
kind of hurry up a little bit, because I feel like the further removed from the end of the road we get, the less people will care.
Yeah, well, we're past End of the Road tour. We're past the big 50th anniversary of Kiss, so... Yeah, every day that goes by is another one that we're just kind of sitting here waiting.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be screened in Vegas.
Yeah, I was going to say, wow, before you said that, I just had the same thought. Or at least announced there or something.
Or at least you get...
Or like a trailer or something.
You get a trailer, you get a first look at it, an exclusive look.
Ooh.
Maybe a exclusive
I like that
pre-order or whatever it is.
That'd be really cool. That'd be a really cool surprise for that crowd.
I think it should be shown there. Because, because this Vegas event, it's kind of like, is it spectacular or is it not? Because we keep going back and forth. You know what I mean? It's like, Kiss is coming back, they're doing all this, but it's like, it's not really Kiss, though. So, not the full band. So it's like, so we're kind of like, they need to add more to it.
Well, and I think they're going to, but I think that
all we have right now is a couple performances by some members of Kiss and a couple tribute bands. It's like, we need something to make this event
worthwhile.
Yeah. And having the people who are taking over Kiss Army, or, the Storming Vegas, the crowd, they should be able to at least experience it. It's a 3-day event. Surely you got time.
Yeah, I was going to say, they do have to have a lot of things to fill those 3 days, so that would be perfect for one of those days to have a screening.
So, I'm looking forward to Vegas. We're not going, but we're going to be able to at least,
watch all that footage.
See what happens, and you get a report on that.
I'm looking forward to it either way.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens and how it unfolds and what it looks like. I'm ready for this documentary, the Eric Carr documentary. I'm also looking forward to the Cadillac anniversary.
That's true. I almost forgot about that.
This October.
Yeah.
The city, sent out an email sign up that was like, sign up for exclusive details or upcoming info, and it's like, TikTok, nothing yet, but hopefully at some point there will be some official news.
I imagine sometime this summer they will make more specific announcements for it.
Yeah, because the city sounded like they wanted to do something. Oh man, I didn't mention this. This is a great time to mention this. I was on Facebook or whatever, and there was a floral shop in Cadillac that received from Kiss themselves this I don't know what to even call it, but you know how like you can call and order memorials for somebody.
Yeah.
I guess the coach of the Cadillac football team, his wife passed away.
Oh.
And somebody on behalf of Kiss arranged for there to be a memorial or an arrangement or a gift or something made and done up for that.
That's really sweet. That's not like whoever in the Kiss camp thought of that.
Yeah,
that's really sweet.
That was really cool, and it just goes to show that Kiss have maintained this relationship. Even
so interesting.
Even if it is a loose, it's still
loose
a
connection,
relationship.
But it's cool
With Cadillac, and so it's like, man, that's really cool. So knowing that, it's like there could be something really, really cool happening in Cadillac, and even if Kiss doesn't just appear or whatever, the fact that there could be maybe something sent on behalf of Kiss or something done, whatever. That could be really special, and that is something I would like to go to because it's easier for us to get to
Michigan
than
Vegas
than it is
100%.
Vegas.
Yeah, we definitely plan on. Well, and we were actually already planning on going there in October anyway, for this anniversary before we even knew that the city was going to do something.
Yes.
So that just makes it that much better that there might actually be an event or something to attend, and not just us going to visit, the monument and all that.
Yes, but I do want to do the monument. I definitely want to see some of those.
Of course.
Some of those, historic sites and all that. But yeah, so that's just a little bit of what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in knowing what the Kiss Army is looking forward to as well.
I also feel like there's a good possibility we'll get at least one more soundboard this year. So that's something.
You think so?
I think so, because
we still got 2 box sets allegedly.
I'm not as worried about the box sets, honestly. They'll happen if they're gonna happen. Like, I feel like we've been waiting around for them long enough.
Yeah.
And they passed.
Well, Gene allegedly said on stage, accidentally at some point, that there was going to be a Dress to Kill and Live. I
don't trust anything Gene says.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
Fair enough.
I love him to death, but he's said so many things that haven't happened throughout the years that I just don't really. I don't know.
Fair enough.
But what I'm saying is the first round of Off the Soundboards happened in pretty rapid succession.
Yes.
Like, there was only a few months in between each one, and then we got a really long break where we didn't have any. And then, we come back with this one, and it's new packaging, new vibe. So I don't think this is the only one they're gonna do with this kind of packaging. I feel like it's the start of a new set of them.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that maybe we'll get one more this year, at least.
I do think it is sort of a new set, but I think they would be wise to pace it, especially if they're going to do these box sets.
If they're going to do box sets, I understand.
Because the box sets, I'm worried about the boxes. I'm like, I don't got no time or money for box sets.
That's
right
why I'm
now.
like, I don't need box sets right now.
That's like,
I would right now this year I would rather have Off the Soundboards.
Really? Okay, sets. For sure.
Just because, like you said, they're so expensive.
Yeah,
and
I just want the documentaries.
Yeah,
I want
100%.
the 2 documentaries. I mean, soundboards are great and box sets are cool, but I wanted to watch something. Yeah. I want to have something. And I want to experience. The AE documentary was fine, but it wasn't the knockout that I wanted it to be.
Yeah, the AE documentary, I feel like, was for the casual fan. Or for the casual, just rock and roll fan in general. Like,
and it was aimed for the diehard original fans. There was nothing post to the farewell tour. There was nothing for our era.
Right.
It literally just went, bloop, done.
Yeah.
So I want to watch the End of the Road documentary.
Yeah, something that's about our Kiss.
Yes.
Yeah.
We saw 9 shows on tour. We had the best time of our lives. I want to see all the highs and lows, all behind the scenes, how it all came together, how they finished it off in New York. I want to see as much Avatar content as they've got, so behind the scenes, I want all of that.
For sure.
And then I want to see Eric Carr's documentary with some never-before-seen footage of him in makeup, out of makeup, in Kiss, out of Kiss. It's going to be great. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Let's get to our third topic, which comes from, this will be a hard name to pronounce, at Jail. at JAEL-L8N. They say, you should talk about your KISS childhood memories, like what you and Jeb have personally done throughout your life involving KISS. And so I thought, well, we could couple this with another one, since you obviously didn't, have a KISS childhood per se.
Right.
But somebody else commented, Venice Flicks, said, how about top 10 of your favorite KISS events that you participated in? It could be concerts, meet and greets, expos, KISS mini golf, anything. So I'll talk about my childhood, and then you can talk about some of the cool events that we've been able to do over the last decade or more. But if I'm doing childhood, the very first thing I'm talking about is our very first KISS concert. And it's funny because, that was in 2003 for the KISS Aerosmith tour. And at this point, I can't even remember much about the actual show itself. Mm-hmm. I can think back to, before the show, what we felt getting to the show, which is obviously this mega amount of excitement, getting to actually be out there with the KISS Army. And, we were in makeup. I was in the Demon makeup. Jeb was wearing the Star Child makeup. And all these people were like, yeah, look at these kids,
man. You guys were so cute.
Everybody's wearing KISS shirts. And we're just standing around, waiting for the show to start. And, of course, Aerosmith. No, they went on last. So we got to see KISS first, which was very exciting. And we didn't even stay for Aerosmith. So
a lot of people didn't,
we watched about half of it and left. And had to, squeeze out because everybody else was like, yeah, we saw KISS.
Yeah.
That was truly exciting, along with our first ever KISS Expo, which was in 2009 at the Indianapolis KISS Expo. I was, in 8th grade. And even though I only had $50 with me, or $60, I made that, I spread that out, bought me a couple CDs, bought a shirt, bought the worst shirt ever, but just wanted to buy it because I could buy it. You know what I mean? It was one of those things, I'm at a KISS Expo, I'm here, man. Mr. Speed played a killer set, doing all of Hotter Than Hell, because it was the 35th anniversary of Hotter Than Hell, so that was a full set. Got to watch. And just, spent the whole weekend at the Holiday Inn. It was my dad and I with Jeb, our stepmom and our 2 step siblings, and we got to meet Bruce Kulick.
That's so awesome.
That was the first member of KISS we ever met was Bruce. And so, even though he was kind of overwhelmed, it was an entire family. Usually it's one-on-one. It was all of us at once. He still did a good job at, getting to us all one by one, signing autographs. We got a group picture. But, so definitely the first KISS Expo and the first KISS concert were some of, the best experiences.
Definitely.
But I'm interested to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do a top 10, but I'm just going to do the few that come to mind.
Sure, you got to do a top 10, but just what are some of your favorites?
Yeah, so it's funny that he mentioned the KISS mini golf, even though that, there's no KISS members, there, it's not a concert, it's not a meet and greet. That really was just one of the best experiences ever, because it was just you and me, and we went all the way to Vegas just for that, and it was such
I wish we could have spent
blast.
More time.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to go back someday because it was such a blast. We were some of the only people in there, and the employees were so great. The KISS music was playing so loud. We were literally just singing and dancing, playing mini golf, taking pictures, taking videos. It was a blast.
Yeah.
And then, all of the KISS expos, but one of my favorites was the one the Ace was at, I think, in 2018.
2018?
Yeah. That was one of my favorites.
Okay, well, it's funny you mentioned that because that was somebody else's topic.
Oh,
yes.
okay. Well,
yes.
Hey, that
so
works
let's segue right into that because, Fido Flint asked, he said, discuss the 2018 KISS Expo.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Ace was there, Bruce was there, Bob was there, and we got to see them, and Eric Singer?
Eric Singer was there.
We got to see them all playing together on stage, and we were so close.
Oh, we were right up on the PA, on the monitor. I couldn't hear for 3 days.
Yeah, for real. But that was just such an incredible experience, not only getting to meet those guys and get pictures with them, but to see them play together like that.
Yeah.
And, I have, some photos of Bob up on stage with the biggest smile on his face, having the most fun. And I'm just so happy that... And I think we maybe... I don't think we got photos with him necessarily, but I feel like we talked to him, chatted with him at his table or something like that. Yeah.
Probably.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So just, having that memory of getting to talk to him, especially since he's passed since then.
He passed away, a year or two later, which is wild to think about.
Right.
But, yeah, he was there, and that was the first time we saw Ace perform live.
Yes, I had never seen Ace, in person at all, and I got to meet him and watch him play.
There's something different about having Eric Singer behind the kit. Anybody can play the drums, But even Ace has said that when Eric's behind the kit, it really like pushes him to do.
Yes.
I think Ace even commented, he was like, "Yeah, we got together at a convention with Eric Singer, and I kept having to look back, being like, damn, Eric's just killing it back there." So yeah, we were like front row for that too, side stage watching.
So cool.
You know, all the, Todd Kearns was up there singing.
Oh
so
yeah,
it was, like,
he's amazing.
All these legends together was super fantastic, and there were other folks there too. Lita Ford was there.
Yeah.
We brought this poster. No, is that the one? That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we brought this poster to the event because Lydia Chris was there, and I got to do a design for one of her appearances at Pasquale's event for one of his Rockin' New Year's Eve bashes.
Yep.
Or was it? Yeah, the Rockin' New Year's Eve bash in 2017. And so Lydia was there. I brought my poster and had her sign it. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." And I was like, "Well,
That's so awesome.
You know, I designed the poster for that." So that was super cool. So that was a fun thing for me too.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite Expo years.
That was
by
great.
Far.
Was Ryan there with us too that year? For sure. Awesome. But yeah, 2018 was a great Expo.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites by far. As far as other memories, obviously every Kiss show that I went to, it's really hard to like narrow in on one that was my favorite. But some of the best moments at some of those were, and this wasn't even my favorite Kiss show necessarily, but the show where we got to take, obviously it was you, me, and Jeb, but also your guys' two younger siblings came with us, and that was the only one that they got to go to with us. And they had been wanting to see Kiss for so long. It was their first and only Kiss show, I think.
Yep.
So having them there along with some of our cousins, it was like a big family thing.
It was a family reunion at the Kiss show.
Yes, and just having, I don't know, there's something about bringing people with you to a Kiss show, especially when it's their first time.
Right.
And getting to see them experience it.
It becomes like your first time all over again.
Yeah, it's so special.
It really was.
So that was a really good one. And then also, I can't move on without mentioning the sound check that we did in Dayton.
Dayton sound check was pretty great.
Yes. Because that was the only sound check we were ever able to do. It was so much fun. But we also had the extra layer of that being the first time we met Rob from Right Between the Eyes. And we got to hang out with him because there was a ton of time because they ended up doing the sound check pretty late.
Yeah, it was pretty delayed.
So we had a lot of waiting time in this kind of, you know, lounge area that they set up for the VIP people. But yeah, just getting to hang out with Rob and get to know him during that time. Getting to see Eric Singer when he came into the room that we were in.
That was exciting, too, because it was his birthday that day.
Yes, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. And then, obviously, getting to watch the sound check. That was just so much fun.
It was a great time. We saw Kiss unmasked, no makeup, loose and fun. So, no, I agree with that one. For sure. And it's kind of funny how, Fido Flint commented and was wanting to, us to discuss the 2018 Kiss Expo. He also says, what do you have in mind for the future Indiana Kiss convention that you mentioned a few episodes ago? If I forgot to display my enthusiasm for your idea, consider me Paul on Deuce. Do it! Seriously, I'll help in any way I can to make it happen.
That's awesome.
So, first of all, thank you for your excitement, your enthusiasm, and your support. And for anybody watching, you need to go check out Fido's show. So, there's a new Kiss podcast on the block called Hey Man, Nice Kiss t-shirt.
It's fun.
Hey Man, Nice Kiss shirt, I think is what it is. But so check it out on YouTube. You can check it out. They actually go through Rick's journal.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Their entire show is built around Rick's rock and roll journal.
How cool is that?
They go through all the topics for that 1 week.
Yeah, and just make that their prompt for that show.
That's their prompts for the show.
So smart.
Yeah, very cool. So check out their new podcast here on YouTube. And Fido, thank you again for your support. And we also have one of our Patreon subscribers, Tika Carr, who said, are you still thinking of doing an Indiana gathering for those who can't go to Vegas? So again, we're going to combine those two since everybody's kind of asking.
Same topic.
And the answer is yes. There is going to be something happening in Indiana this November. And I know you're thinking, okay, Xander, well, you need to get on it. You keep saying it, but you keep saying you'll get to it because there's one massive hurdle I have to get over before, okay? I have to get to the big announcement before I can get to the little announcement. You're thinking the Indiana Expo is a little announcement. That's because that's only going to affect us for 1 day. Okay, the big announcement coming in June is going to affect us all for life. Okay, so I'll get to the big announcement before I get to the little. I love it because we've been dying to say this, but we can't yet.
I'm sorry. I know it's really annoying when people in videos do this. Like, we have news, but we can't tell you. But it's really fun being on this side of it.
Once we drop this big news, everybody gets to go back and look at all the
clues
hints that we sprinkled throughout. But anyway, so ideally there is going to be something happening this November-ish in Indiana. Now, at the very, very bare minimum, it's going to be 5 or 10 Kiss fans getting together, having dinner at some restaurant saying, woohoo, we're Kiss fans here in 2025 in Indiana. I think
it's going to be more than that.
On the high end, it's going to be a Kiss Expo. You're going to walk into a room and you're going to see tables lined of some of the best Kiss collectibles you can imagine. You're going to have all kinds of Kiss podcasters and YouTubers, those who aren't going to Vegas. Mm-hmm. I want to have as many of my friends as possible in the YouTube sphere, podcasting sphere, get together and do a panel. We'll do like trivia. We have, Kiss karaoke. We'll have Kiss. I mean, just think about your ideal or your average Kiss Expo, but having that being, in 2025, celebrating Kiss. Again, there's going to be no Gene, no Paul, no Tommy, no Bruce. This will be a fan-centered They're going to be in Vegas.
Right.
They're going to be in Vegas. This is literally going to be a celebration of Kiss fans. So you're going to get together with all your Kiss fans for a day or two. You're going to get to meet us, meet some of your other favorite Kiss YouTubers and Kiss podcasters. I want to put together some other things that I can't really unveil yet because it hasn't obviously come to fruition yet. So once this information becomes more solidified, then we'll start announcing it. But there is going to be something. So clear your calendars for a weekend, almost every weekend in November, because it could be one of those.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a one-day fun get-together of all of us Kiss fans to celebrate the fact that the Kiss Army started 50 years ago here in Indiana. And that's just what it's going to be. Very simple, but it's going to be very fun. Yep. So stay tuned. I want to do something, again, whether it's just Kiss fans getting together, doing a toast at a restaurant, or if it's us getting together for a whole night, a whole evening, a whole day of Kiss collecting and Kiss music and Kiss podcasting fun. So stay tuned. We'll see. I want to try and get as many folks as I can involved. So, yeah, we'll see. But that's what I want to do. Now, for our last topic I wanted to get to, I wanted to have some real fun because, again, it's funny how a lot of our folks are on the same page because we're doing a lot of combination of topics. Everybody did a great job of, they didn't mean to, just coordinating everything. Yes. You guys wrote the show for us. Thank you again so much. But we had 2 comments talking about the solo albums.
Yeah, okay.
We have, we have Z Unit, one of our Patreon subscribers, says maybe make 4 solid Kiss albums using only solo albums. And then Steve Anderson said, I want each of you to do a best of solo album, 1 album, 10 songs using material only from, again, the 4 solo albums. And I thought, well, you know what? Jeb and I did this back in episode 34.
Yeah.
But that was so long ago that I bet nobody even remembers that. You know what I mean? I don't remember that. So I was like, okay, why don't we kind of revisit that and look at it, since you weren't even on the show here. You weren't even a host yet.
Exactly. So I have not done this yet. You have. It's just been a while.
Yeah.
So I put together one for the first time. We didn't do the 4. We just did one.
One nice.
As if it were a Kiss album, basically.
Sure. Exactly.
Combining songs from the 4. And did you, revisit your old one?
I revisited mine, and I tweaked it, and I made it 10 songs. I think mine was...
I made mine 10 songs as well.
Mine was 11.
Okay.
And it had some different things, so I went back, revisited it, tweaked it, and shrunk it to fit our parameters.
Cool.
But I want you to go first. I want you to share with us what would be your ideal best of solo albums.
I had a lot of fun doing this because, first of all, I got to re-listen to all 4 solo albums, which that could have been my spotlight as well, because over the last couple of days, I've been listening to a lot of solo albums.
Nice.
But I wanted to not just stick all my favorites on there. I wanted it to actually kind of flow like a good album. And there's some songs that I really do like, but I could not make fit in a cohesive way on this album.
Makes sense.
So that I did cut those. But this is what I ended up with. Side 1, I couldn't not start with Tonight You Belong to Me.
Okay.
Because it's so perfect and it opens up Paul's album so perfectly. You're going to notice that this is a Paul heavy album, but I did try
I wonder
balance.
Why.
I
wonder why.
I tried the balance, and I think I did a pretty good job. So I start with Tonight You Belong to Me. Track 2, I'm in Need of Love from Ace's album. I love this song. It's really grown on me. And I thought it was a good, still upbeat track 2.
Okay.
Track 3, Man of a Thousand Faces.
Nice.
This is one of my favorites.
That's a solid Gene cut.
From Gene's album. I'll be honest, I think I struggled pretty hard with Gene's album and kind of Peter's.
I struggled with 2 of them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because with Peter's, I'll go ahead and say I only ended up with one Peter song. And
I wonder why.
I wanted to do more because I do like a lot of songs from that album, and it has grown on me throughout the years, but they just don't sound like Kiss songs. You know what I mean? Like, they just don't mesh with the rest of the album. So, anyways, track 4, I have What's on Your Mind from Ace.
Whew!
Another really good one. And then closing out side 1 is Take Me Away Together as one.
Dang.
Which is my favorite of all 4 albums. Okay. I absolutely love this song, and I thought it was a real good dramatic end to...
That's a very dramatic end to side 1.
And then
so you're opening and closing side 1 with Paul.
Yes, I am. Okay. And then side 2, I have starting with See You Tonight from Gene.
Nice.
That is my last. I only have 2 Gene ones on the album.
Wow.
Again, because, see, I will go ahead and say I don't have Radioactive on here, and I wanted to... But the only place I think you could put that song is first. Yeah. Because of the sound effects and everything. And that was not the vibe I was going for with this album. And I really wanted Tonight You Belong With Me first. So I was like,
I get it.
I'm going to have to cut Radioactive.
I get it.
So yeah, starting with See You Tonight and then Rip It Out from Ace. Ain't Quite Right from Paul Stanley. And we finally get to Peter Criss. I picked Kiss the Girl Goodbye. I actually... quite like this song.
Not the song I thought you would have chosen.
What do you think I was going to choose?
I don't know, but it wasn't that one.
Because, see, there's ones that I, historically have liked more from his album.
I thought you would choose 'Cause You Matter to Me.
See, I love that song, but it doesn't sound like Kiss at all.
So why does this one sound like Kiss?
It doesn't really, but it's kind of giving me, Beth vibes just on guitar instead of piano. Okay. It's just a nice, ballady love song. It's kind of sad in the way that Beth is sad, because they're like, we've been apart before, and, this isn't gonna hurt the relationship. It's gonna make me miss you more. It's gonna make me love you more, but I have to kiss the girl goodbye. It's just kind of a simple, sad love song kind of thing.
Beth Part 2.
Yes, but it stays, because I think we needed, a ballad on here somewhere. The slowest one I've had so far is Ain't Quite Right, but it's still kind of groovy. We've had a successful Peter, we do have a successful Peter ballad with Beth, and I thought this was a good one. And it doesn't get too dramatic either, because what's the other Peter one I was considering? Let me look real quick.
Okay.
Yes, I was also considering Easy Thing.
But that's the one I thought you were actually going to choose.
And I do like it, but, it almost gets a little too much like Beth with the, orchestration and stuff at the end. I don't know. It was just a little too cheesy for me. So I went with Kiss the Girl Goodbye, and then I also could not help but end the album with Goodbye from Paul Stanley. So I started and ended with the opening and closing tracks on Paul's album.
That makes sense. Paul's our favorite, so makes sense. But no, I like that. You definitely threw some curves in there. I did not think that you would have that much Ace.
I know. I didn't think I would either.
I was like, man, she should have put New York Groove, and that's it.
New York Groove didn't work for me. It didn't sound right. I love that song, but it didn't sound right with the rest of them.
Yeah.
I'm very much
I'm in need of love.
Yeah, the album has to be somewhat cohesive. What I do is I gotta listen to the transition between songs, and if it doesn't sound right, it's getting cut.
Well, that's good. You put some thought into it.
I
did a little bit. I wanted mine to kind of flow like an out. I wanted to see at least if I could have at least one track right from the 4 of them. That's the goal. So mine is similar to my other one, but it has been tweaked and reduced. So you called it with yours. So my opening is Radioactive.
I figured
because of that intro. Yeah. It is one of the... It makes me think
so good.
I'm a modern Kiss fan, so Psycho Circus, Carnival of Souls, Revenge, those, weird kind of intros.
Yeah, eerie,
before
spooky,
the album kicks in. Yeah, so this is kind of right along with that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's still some of the best production I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It definitely does not match the song Radioactive, but in terms of an introduction to a Kiss album in '78 at the height of Knights in Satan's Service. It's like
absolutely
that would just set things off. And Radioactive, it is a good song.
It's a great song.
It's not heavy. It is fun. But it's still singable.
It still sounds like a Kiss song
to me, though. Melody.
It works. Yeah.
I think it would be way better if the guys were on it themselves. If you were hearing, Ace playing that guitar, Peter playing those drums,
for sure,
and Paul, Peter, and Ace doing backup vocals with Gene, it would be a great Kiss song.
Yeah.
So I thought Radioactive would be a great opener, followed by Yes, Tonight You Belong to Me.
Oh, okay.
Because it is a strong Paul song. I love the contrast from the beginning, where it's real quiet, real sweet and tender, and then it kicks in Black Diamond, I Want You style.
Yes, I was thinking of I Want You when I put it first.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure maybe Paul was too. It worked perfectly. It's a perfect Paul song. Again, that one plays very close to a Kiss song. That could have been on a Kiss album.
100%.
Track number 3, Rip It Out.
Ooh.
I have, so far, the 3 openers for all of their albums.
That's great. I love that.
The first 3 songs are the first 3 openers.
That's awesome.
On, those 3 albums. So Rip It Out, we all know, is classic Ace.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It sets the tone for Ace's album. So I thought, well, you have all this energy starting out. Let's just ramp it up even more with Rip It Out. And I chose another Paul song for my 4th song. And I wanted it to, again, play very close to a Kiss album. And so for number 4, I put Wouldn't You Like to Know Me. It's one of my favorite songs.
It is a great song.
Of Paul. They even played it on one of the Kiss cruises.
That's so awesome.
Which I think just goes to show how much of a Kiss song it kind of is.
Yeah.
Or at least could be. Again, I feel like, the drums and the music already is great, but just to hear it, being recorded by Kiss around that Love Gun era would be great. And I think the production on Paul's and Ace's album, sounds very close to what Rock and Roll Over and Love Gun were sounding like.
Definitely. So that's why mine is heavy on Paul and Ace.
Bingo. Yeah, no, I think, this song especially, just hits that pocket. So for me, ending side 1 is going to be Man of a Thousand Faces.
Nice.
Again, kind of like you. It's
song.
one of the best songs in the album. It was a toss-up between Man of a Thousand Faces and what's the other one?
The other Gene song?
Hang on. Man of a Thousand Faces and Mr. Make Believe.
Yes.
Mr. Make Believe.
Okay, yep.
It was a toss-up between those two because they're both such great songs. I'm not sure why I landed on this one. It was just like, you gotta pick one.
Yeah.
So I went Man of a Thousand Faces, a nice tender song to end side 1, with side 2 starting off with It's Alright from Paul's album. It's Alright and Wouldn't Like to Know Me are my 2 favorite songs off of Paul's solo album. They're just both perfect would-be Kiss songs.
Right.
So, yeah, had to have it on my album with Snowblind being the second song.
Snowblind, interesting pick.
I've always loved the tempo of Snowblind. Yeah. It's such a weird song.
It is a very interesting song.
It's weird to... I'm sure it's weird to play. It's weird to, vibe along to, but it's such a weird song that I just think it's so cool. So, yeah, always been one of my favorite songs off Ace's album, so I'm going to include Snowblind here. And then... this is where my only Peter song comes in. I'm Gonna Love You.
Oh,
which is the opening track. Again, I have all 4
you have
of
all
the
4
opening tracks
on here.
end up on here. But I'm Gonna Love You. Again, it was hard to pick one from Peter's because it isn't a traditional rock and roll album.
Right.
And while I did want there to be a ballady type song, I didn't want it to be from Peter's album. So I chose I'm Gonna Love You, which is a little bit more upbeat. It has a nice... driving drum beat. So I get that. It's a great way to, again, start out Peter's album. I'm going to have it on side 2 of mine just to keep the momentum going.
I like it.
You get to hear Peter's vocals. And then the second to last song is See You Tonight.
Of course.
Again, I did struggle with Gene. You always want to have that hard-hitting Gene. You don't have that with his solo album, so you're kind of left with, what do we have here? And the one that I chose and put on my other one from the last time we did this, in episode 34, I put Burning Up with Fever, which I thought could have been on my album, but at this point, again, placement matters.
Yeah.
I don't have room for it.
Didn't fit
I'm going to go with See You Tonight. It's another nice, soft, tender song. It's a really good song.
I love this song.
Easy to sing, easy to follow along with, and it's going to perfectly segue into Good Night.
Yeah.
As the last song.
Goodbye?
Goodbye.
Yes,
sorry, excuse me. Yes, Goodbye was the last song on my last album I did, so...
It's perfect. It just is perfect.
It really is a perfect last song. So I think that the album starts off really strong, and by the time you get to See You Tonight and Goodbye, it kind of slows down. but still really good material.
I like it.
And that's my best of.
That was such a fun experiment. If you guys have your own favorite songs that you want to make into a cohesive album, share them below.
Either share them below or go back to watch episode 34 if you never watched that episode. Listen to Jeb and I talk about our original choices for our best of Kiss solo album. And yeah, leave us your thoughts. But either way, all those have been fun. These have all
so many good topics.
Been great topics. Whether it's talking about the factual stuff of the Palladium show to getting creative and sharing our best of solo albums, even getting sentimental and sharing some of our favorite memories and moments of our history. This has been a great episode, and I am going to get into a quick collector's corner real quick because I'm always showing some stuff on the show. I have just a couple of small items today. This first one has a story with it.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and open the item first and then get to the story. And I will need the Kiss knife to do that. Like it says, do not crush.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hopefully they obeyed. Okay, great. Thanks for your purchase. I hope you love it. Well, I hope I do too. Let's see. What did I purchase?
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so check it out. We have Long Way Down, a promotional CD copy.
That's
so you
so
can
interesting.
See on the back there, it has the information for the promo. But yeah, this is a promo CD for Long Way Down. Check it out, look over it, and I will kind of explain the story here. So this actually goes back to when Rob and I was seeing Gene at the Gene show. I had put in a bid for this eBay auction that was for 3 Kiss CDs, one of which was a promotional copy of Long Way Down. And this has been on my, want list for a while, this copy of Long Way Down. And when I saw this lot of 3 Kiss CDs, one including Long Way Down, I thought, okay, great. It was only $15 for this lot of 3.
Wow.
And it came with Long Way Down promo CD. It came with some actual Greatest Hits album, but then it came with it looked like a bootleg Greatest Hits Kiss album.
Okay.
Never seen it before. Wasn't really worried about it. It was just more of a bonus. I was going for
that mostly.
The Long Way Down CD.
Yeah.
And I put in my bid, and Rob and I are at the Gene show. I get a notification saying that I'm the highest bidder. I'm like, okay, great,
Sweet.
Sounds good. When I get back, I'm informed that I win. I pay only to get a notification that says the seller has decided to refund my money and take it down. I'm assuming they were unhappy with this has happened before.
It's ridiculous.
They're unhappy with the final product, so
final cost.
The final cost, sorry. And they decide to refund the money, take it down, and then they'll just relist it in a month or two and jack up the price and whatever. So I was kind of upset because I got a really good deal on it, but they were, I guess, bitter about it. So
I don't like people like that on eBay.
Nope.
Like, if you're not going to be satisfied with the minimum price that you set, then set it higher to begin with. I'm sorry, but
true.
Like,
don't put it for auction if you don't want it to go for auction prices.
Exactly, and you can't ever assume that it's gonna skyrocket the way you want it to.
Yeah, especially when you have one promo item mixed in with a bootleg best of and a mass-produced actual best of.
Right.
So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So I went looking and found another copy of just Long Way Down CD for twice as much.
Yeah.
Still got a pretty decent deal. Not as good a deal as I was getting before.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, so you wanted the best, you got the best. Kiss, Long Way Down, Impact Day, October 23rd.
That's so cool.
So we know Monster came out October 9th. The impact date for this was the second single off of Monster. Hell or Hallelujah was released July 3rd, July 4th. And I have a CD for that. I have the promo CD for that,
yes.
Which is why I wanted to have the one for Long Way Down. So again, Monster, my favorite Kiss album.
That's so cool that you have both of those.
Love having both the promo CDs. And you can see, from the new Full Throttle Rock and Roll album, Monster. It has SimStan music right there. Gene and Paul's Simmons Stanley Music Ltd. So there you go. Really, really cool. Let's go ahead and open it up. Nothing too crazy as far as artwork on the inside, but yeah, there you go. At least you know it's legit right there.
That's very cool.
Very, very cool.
Good
Jeb always loved this song.
Yeah.
Long Way Down. I mean, I love it too.
It's a great song.
I love it too, but to me, there's better stuff on Monster. But that song to him always stood out. Long Way Down. Love the artwork, and unfortunately, Right Here, Right Now was never released physically as a single.
That sucks.
I don't even think it was actually... I always thought that it was released as the official third single off the album.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was just released as an iTunes bonus song, period, dot.
Gotcha.
I'm like, no. That, to me, is the third single off Monster. And it was included on the International Tour Edition, but it never did get one of these, its own, promotional disc. But still really cool that I have the first two.
Great find.
Indeed. And I have one more small gift, very impromptu.
Okay.
You're going to laugh when you see it. You're going to laugh.
No way, you did get it.
I did get it. I got it. So here is
that's great.
the Unmasked air freshener from the Kiss Online merch drop they had for the 45th anniversary. So I was a little weirded out when it was only for the VIP. Like, only the VIP could get the Unmasked air freshener. So I was like, I just kind of put it off to the side. But noticed I had $10 in my PayPal.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'll get this for free then, basically, pretty
much.
So
there you go.
I went ahead and got the
smell
Unmasked.
It through the packaging?
I don't know, but I love how on the front of the air freshener it says, "I still say they stink."
That's so funny. That's like
Which is so clever
for an air freshener.
And that's pretty much the reason why I got it, because I was like, okay, it's kind of clever.
It's got like the track list on the back. Are you going to use this or display it?
No, I'll probably just display it. I don't know. I just like getting at
fun.
least one small thing from the anniversary releases. And yeah, again, no copyright on it. What is their deal with not copyrighting their own stuff, putting their logo and their stamp on it in the year? But either way, still really cool. Again, very cheap, but that's what I like. I like the cool, cheap stuff that you can get.
Yep.
It's a nice little, celebration of Kiss Unmasked. So I did get at least something from the merch drop, but that's pretty much it for this episode. No Kiss calendar.
No.
We have nothing on the Kiss calendar.
Nothing new to talk about.
We already did the 45th of Unmasked. We did our 4th anniversary.
Yep.
That's it until July, unless somebody has something they want to add, which, let us know if there's something going on in your area as far as like there's a tribute band playing here or whatever. We'll put it on the Kiss calendar. We'll let everybody know.
Ooh, you know what I'm manifesting being added to the calendar soon?
What?
The drop of, we haven't talked about this at all, I don't think, on
Whoa.
the show. The drop, or at least announcement of Nick and Evan's collaboration album.
That we could have added to Rex's topic.
That's true. Yeah, things that we're
what
looking forward to.
We're looking forward to
That's the number
Nick.
one thing I'm looking forward to. I'm not kidding. If you guys have not seen the videos of Nick Simmons and Evan Stanley singing and not performing, but singing and playing guitar together, you need to. Because a few months ago, they posted a video of them doing, I think, Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel together. And, like, Evan's playing guitar, and they're just singing these beautiful harmonies together. And everybody loved it. Like, everyone went nuts, and me included. I absolutely loved the way their voices sounded. They sounded so good together. And the internet went crazy. And so they and obviously they had a lot of ideas and chemistry, and so they decided to keep rolling with it. And they have made an album. And they are
about 10 songs, they said.
Yes, and they've made their own Simmons Stanley Instagram page.
Go follow them.
Yes, and they're posting videos, they're posting little snippets of songs, and this is going to be an album of original songs.
Only.
From the two of them. And I am just so excited. And it sounds like it's going to be kind of folksy, kind of Simon and Garfunkel-y, but more modern, and I just can't wait.
Yeah, and I love it because Gene and Paul keep sharing this.
Yes.
They must be so proud.
Oh, it makes me so happy.
They're like, dang, our boys are doing it better than us. Like, it's so cool. So, yeah, I'm glad to see. And they even said, somebody said, are you going to do Kiss covers? And they said, no. No.
No.
I hate it when people say that Nick and Evan should take over for the Demon and Star Child. Take over Kiss. And
let them be their own people.
That's not them. That's their dads.
Yeah.
They don't want to do that. They shouldn't do that. They should do their own thing because their own thing right now sounds good, new, fresh, original.
It sounds like it's something like a really special moment that they had. Like they were answering questions on their Instagram story the other day, and somebody asked them like, did this almost happen in the past? Like, why have you guys not collaborated until now? And they were like, we weren't ready before, and it never felt right until now. Like, it happened organically this time around. We weren't trying to do this. We were just, because they're very close. They're like brothers.
Yeah.
And so they were just hanging out, jamming, and it happened. And so they were like, we should, pursue this. And I'm just really looking forward to it. And somebody asked them, when can we expect, music? And they said soon.
Oh, they did say soon.
They said soon.
Woo!
And somebody also asked them if they plan on touring. They said definitely.
Yes, there's going to be shows.
Yes.
See,
somebody said Europe tour. They said absolutely. I was like, what?
Oh my gosh. So this is going to be great.
I know. I really should have mentioned this earlier, but I just absolutely cannot wait, and I hope we get to add that to the calendar very soon.
That would be exciting. Both an album release date and a show.
Tour. Imagine getting to see them. Because we got to see, Evan with Amber Wild, and they were great. Yes, we got to meet him, get a photo with him and the band. But I'm not really, we're not really sure where Amber Wild's at this point. If they're going to continue, they never really have released more than about maybe four or five singles.
And their songs were great.
And they had great songs, but they just don't seem to be, getting going the way they originally wanted to. And so I'm like, that's okay. Like, they were great, but right now I would rather see Nick and Evan pursuing this path.
Me too.
Because it just seems like it's going to be really good.
This is exciting.
Yeah.
For me, for us, for the Kiss Army, but I think also just for rock and roll. I mean, this could shake up, the scene, as it were, because, Amber Wild was great. I think that their songs were really good. We were singing them.
Yeah.
By the time we saw them live, we were singing them. They were great songs. I was hoping for an album. But I obviously have to admit that an album with Gene's son and Paul's son is going to do infinitely better as far as press, sales, ticket sales, all that. And the way they're talking about their chemistry, it's like all the stars are aligning.
Yes.
And so I'm with you. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
And I want to know what you guys are waiting for this year. I mean, we talked about all kinds of stuff. Maybe we missed something. Let us know what you guys are looking forward to from Kiss and beyond in 2025. Let us know some of your favorite memories. Give us your solo album. Just whatever you guys want. Just join in the fun. And just, again, thank you so much for celebrating 4 years of the Kiss and Everything's podcast with us. And hopefully we're going to celebrate 4 more with you guys. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. And just want to say thank you again to all of our Patreon subscribers. I do have some more content coming for you guys in the next week or two. So be on the lookout for that. And if you want to become a Patreon subscriber, it's the best way to support us. You can do that by checking the link in the description. You can sign up for a 7-day free trial and get all the content you can take. And yes, we will see you there. Your guys' support means a lot to us, as well as your support here on YouTube, here on Facebook, and Instagram. We're constantly posting Kiss content everywhere, just trying to make sure that you guys are having the most fun, being the best Kiss fans we could be, celebrating the best rock and roll, and doing it with style, doing it with positivity. And so we're glad that you guys are here joining us. And again, we'll see you in episode 142 of the Kiss Army Things podcast. Until then, my name is Xander.
My name is Daphne.
Peace out. Rock on.